They tried to sabotage my career without realizing that I was the one who signed their paychecks. Because what started as betrayal ended up transforming into a powerful movement, Definitive. If you like stories of silent revenge and overwhelming success, click on the sign up button. Money can't buy peace, but it can buy the kind of revenge that makes silence count like gold. I learned this 3 weeks ago when my own family tried to sabotage my career without knowing they were targeting the employer's own CEO. I am Valen, but in the corporate world, many know me as Ein. I am officially the Director of Innovation at Skyvera Labs, an Austin-based climate technology company in Texas. What my family didn't know is that in the spring of this year, I became the discrete majority shareholder of Skyvera, using an investment arm with several layers that I started at the beginning of my 20s. It all started 16 years ago. I was a first-generation university student, coding late at night in a cramped dormitory at NYU, while pursuing a double degree in environmental sciences and computer engineering. Meanwhile, my older sister Jasmine dropped out of business school and jumped from one network marketing scheme to another. My father said, "You were always stable," but it didn't mean being supported. I worked as a waitress, built software prototypes from scratch, and participated in clandestine startup meetings that no one took seriously. Jasmine, meanwhile, went backpacking in Bali to reset her mentality, but I stayed focused and in silence knew exactly where I was heading. By 32 years old, I had already launched and sold 3 green technology startups, each registered under a different LLC. I remained out of the spotlight, filtering profits through funds to build Skyvera in the shadows. But why so much secrecy? Because my family never believed in me. To them, appearances mattered more. They thought my work was cute and bragged instead about Jasmine's new job selling bold solutions she barely understood. So I let them think I was struggling and needed them. Let's just say that illusion didn't last long. While they thought I was executing someone else's plan, I was executing my master plan, a silent acquisition of Skyvera Labs, the company I discreetly worked for just over 14 months. The company was undervalued but full of unexplored potential. With a careful network of blind trusts and offshore entities, I gained controlling interest without my name appearing anywhere. When the board promoted me to Director of Innovation, they thought they were appointing a brilliant, obedient strategist. Little did they know they were handing over the title to the new owner of the company. Jasmine's reaction was delicious. "It must be nice to have a stroke of luck," she commented at Sunday dinner with a smile. "Just don't let it get to your head. Managing a company is not like creating scientific apps in your apartment." Dad smiled tensely and Mom, without missing a beat, added, "Maybe Jasmine can help you, give you some tips. She's already led sales teams in 3 companies." I nodded calmly, sipping my tea. "I'll definitely consider it," I replied with a smile. What they didn't know was that the acquisition agreement was already stored securely in my encrypted safe at home. But Jasmine couldn't stand being overshadowed. She spent the year being the star of the family, confident that I just had a good job. True, I was quiet, full of diplomas, but with little visibility. She started appearing at Skyvera just to have lunch with department heads, masking her visits as fraternal support. I watched from my side office as she laughed with the veterans. Some employees even casually suggested I was under too much pressure and still learning the ropes. Then the anonymous reports began. Complaints to HR questioning my qualifications, supposed fake credentials, and mysteriously missing courses. Everything was pure fiction, easy to deny, but the message was clear. "I'm just looking out for you," Jasmine purred when I confronted her. "You know how these companies love promoting women quickly. Quotas and everything," she leaned in as if sharing a secret. "I would hate to see you fall apart in front of everyone." I let her continue, curious to see how far she would go. The reply arrived yesterday, sent to the board, an elegant folder full of fake evidence. Falsified bank records, forged emails, fabricated schedules, accusations of embezzlement and insider trading. They called an emergency board meeting for Monday. Jasmine must have heard something from the sales team, because at dinner she was beaming. "The board wants me there tomorrow," she said, barely containing her excitement. "Looks like there's going to be a big change at the top." Mom clapped her hands. Dad raised his glass. Neither of them asked why I wasn't invited to this very important meeting about my own position. But what they didn't know was that I had spent all night preparing my own dossier. I documented every manipulation, every gossip campaign, every fake accusation Jasmine had tried to use against me. This time, I added something even more powerful, the full analysis of Skivera's ownership structure. Tomorrow, the board would find out who really runs the company. If you think Jasmine will escape this, click on the subscribe button, because what comes next changes everything. I should have felt betrayed, hurt, maybe even heartbroken, knowing my own sister tried to destroy my career, and that my parents, as always, couldn't see beyond Jasmine's charm. But honestly, sitting in my office surrounded by color-coded evidence, fake transactions, manipulated screenshots, whispered HR rumors, I knew this moment was coming. I had been prepared for years. Jasmine's clumsy coup attempt didn't shake me at all. If anything, it gave me the perfect stage. I had never before received such a clear opportunity to expose her lies and rewrite the narrative that had followed me. The council meeting was scheduled for 9 a.m. sharp. They thought I would be the only one on trial. They forgot something important. I was the one who wrote the rules. I arrived at Skyvera at 7:45 a.m., coffee in hand, watching the last pieces fall into place. At 8:45 a.m., Jasmine entered the lobby, wearing her best suit, accompanied by our parents, smiling as if attending a coronation. "The council is ready for us," she asked the receptionist, exhaling confidence. From my office on the second floor, I watched them being led toward the executive suite. The board directors arrived soon after, serious expressions on their faces. Each of them had received my message at midnight. At exactly 9 a.m., I stood up, adjusted my jacket, and walked down the hallway. The moment had arrived. If you've ever been underestimated, manipulated, or forced to dim your shine for the sake of peace, don't miss what happens next. Click on the subscribe button, because the real power move is just beginning. When I entered the room, Romero, the board chairman, was in the middle of a sentence. "These allegations against Miss Lin are extremely serious." "Sorry, I'm late," I said, sliding into my seat at the head of the table, joyful. Jasmine stood up suddenly, confusion crossing her smug expression like static interference. "This is a closed session," she whispered. "You weren't invited." I clasped my hands together, smiling calmly. "Actually, I invited myself," I said with a smile. "After all, it's hard to run a board meeting without the owner of the company, don't you think?" The silence that followed was deafening. Jasmine's face drained of all color. Mom blinked rapidly, as if she misheard. Dad froze, his jaw tight, as if trying to swallow a laugh that never came. "What are you talking about?" Jasmine spat, almost out of breath. "Skyvera is a shareholder company." "Correct," I said, turning to my assistant, Mina, who stepped forward with an elegant leather briefcase. Skyvera Labs was publicly traded until 2 months ago when it was discreetly acquired by Verdun Corey Holdings, I said. "Would you like to guess who owns it?" Sighs echoed through the room as documents were passed hand to hand. The directors' eyes widened as they read through the acquisition papers. Some murmured about the mysterious fund with enough capital to privatize the company. Now they knew. "This is a joke," Jasmine stuttered. "You couldn't have done this. You're just a programmer." "Be quiet," I said with a practiced smile. "I've heard it all before. You've said it enough times." Turning to Mina, I nodded. "Would you, please?" Mina tapped her tablet, and the room was filled with calm but cutting audio recordings. Jasmine whispering things that should never have come from a true leader. "She is smart, but crumbles under pressure. Council will realize this soon. Recording you around the room. Honestly, he is only in this position because of quotas of diversity. If we are realistic, the temperature in the room looked plummet. No one moved suddenly. Narrative began to unravel for her, not for me. Did you notice any irregularity in the finances of the department? Worth it investigate more closely. The voice of Jasmine recorded another recording. Each whisper, every strategic manipulation, was there collapsing in front of your eyes. Every doubt planted now resounded in thumping sound like a fall. Perfectly orchestrated, but not. My Jasmine was visibly sinking into your chair, your posture confident, crumbling while the recordings echoed through the room meetings. Your once smug face turned pale. The directors remained real estate with expressions indecipherable. So I took an envelope, thick, the same as she had sent anonymously to the council. This one I started holding it in plain sight. Inside are falsified spreadsheets, manipulated emails, a fabricated case, built in desperate attempt to defamation, false allegations of misconduct, deliberate sabotage against leadership executive. My voice was steady. You really thought no one would check, not even one of these allegations before act? I was protecting the company. Jasmine stuttered, her voice embargoed. "You are not qualified. It was always here extra. You don't deserve to beat me." I finished softly. "Not Jasmine. I am who has earned the right to lead. And now I'm the one exposing you for manipulate internal perception, compromise the integrity of the board, and put the future of this company at risk." Mom finally spoke, her voice shaking. "Surely you won't destroy life from your own sister because of this? Like if she hadn't tried to destroy this?" I replied, turning to face her. "You came here expecting to see me fall, wasn't it?" Dad raised his hand in half, as if he wanted to intervene. "We were just here to support Jasmine." "No," I said, looking directly in his eyes. "What are you doing?" "Always bet on the wrong daughter." So I turned to the council myself, getting up. "I apologize for nature drama of this meeting," I said, leaving the calm take control of my voice. But I needed everyone to understand completely what's at stake. Senorita Jasmine Lin violated ethical boundaries and nice in their effort to remove me from my position. Paused, leaving the words resonate. She didn't just come behind me. She placed the future of this company in dangers. The company's reputation and its regulatory position are at stake. Ilis Romero cleared his throat and asked, "Miss Lin, what are you?" "I would like the advice due." I sat down again, crossing hands calmly. "First," I started, "I request that the council reject formally all allegations against me, based on verified evidence and an internal review. Second, I ask for disciplinary action, immediate action against Senorita Lin for conduct." I paused briefly before continue. "I also request that a letter formal form is sent to the employer of Jasmine." My voice was even, detailing the entire sum of conduct with the fabricated evidence, audio files, and their attempts at sabotage corporate. "Your actions must follow it professionally. You cannot be seriously." Jasmine closed your thin voice and trembling. "You will destroy my career, just like you tried to destroy." I answered mine calmly, but with firmness. "The difference is that I have real evidence, true documents, recordings legitimate. You, on the other hand, falsified spreadsheets and evidence." I looked directly to the council and finally finished. "I request that Jasmine Lin and our parents be permanently banned from property of Skyvera Labs. Any contact with staff or interference in the company's operations will result in immediate legal escalation." "Ava, please!" Mom screamed, with tears running down her cheeks, smudging mascara. "We are a family." I gave a short laugh, bitter and silent. "Family celebrates their victories," I replied. "Family supports you when you is down. Family doesn't try to pay your life's work out of jealousy." I slid a final folder across the desk conferences. "This continued is the agreement acquiring my first startup of climate technology. I sold it for $50 million when I was 27 years. The second for 180 million years. Then I looked directly at Daddy. I could have bought that subscription from the country club you always wanted. Could have paid for all those luxurious vacations you gave Jasmine. Was always treated like the star golden. But I didn't do it. While they looked at the pages in a daze, as if the numbers crumbled each story they told themselves about who I was silent. And I started because I wanted to see who would be by my side when they thought I had nothing. I turned to Jasmine. "You all failed." She looked pale. "Are you ending my career?" She whispered. I didn't answer. "You ended up with her moment when you tried to sabotage my... Only difference is that you actually did the things you are being accused of." I collected my folders and got up. "Meeting is officially closed," I declared, waving to Elias. "Please make sure the registry is safe." So I turned to them. "Jasmine, Mom, Dad. Security will escort them out." "Wait," Jasmine called, with her voice choked up. When I got to the door, "Please." I was jealous. I wasn't. I could bear that you were finally gaining. Your voice trembled. "We can fix this, no? We can still be a family." I turned one last time. "You know what the difference between us, Jasmine." She raised her look at your last glassy eyes, remnants of pride disappearing. "When you thought I was struggling, you pushed me still further down. When I was prospering, I remained silent just to don't you feel small." I exhaled. "This is profoundly the difference between real success and the game you're in playing." The weeks that followed were revealing. Jasmine was fired quickly. Your employer did not lose time after reviewing the clips of audio and evidence documented. The news of my ownership in Skyvera Lab spread beyond the meeting room. Suddenly the same social circles, as once they loved my sister, They started to whisper my name instead of mine. Parents left messages. Jasmine started sending messages with a tone different. Handwritten letters, and even her therapist sent me one email ensuring that she was taking responsibility for their shares. I archived everything. 3 months later, while finishing a session strategy at night, Mina entered the room. Ava, is there someone here saying it's personal? But not ready polished Jasmine to the cameras that I've always known. She looked smaller in her designer clothes, had been replaced by a blouse simple, and says no jewelry flashy without the performative confidence. I won't be long, she said, raising my hand. I just needed to say one thing. She took a step forward and placed a manila envelope on my desk. This has everything without old contacts. Everything that I used while trying to sabotage you. I am also sending statements to the advice and for my old company without beating around the bush. Sorry, I was silent for a while. Moment. Why now? I asked finally. Because you were right, she replied gently. I wasn't building nothing. You were, and I hated you for that. She turned to leave, but stopped at door. I am restarting entry position in startups. No fake titles this time. I don't hope nothing from you. But letting myself fall taught me more than that every year that Mom and Dad passed me. Standing up? She reached out her hand to handle. Jasmine, I called gently. She turned, her eyes shining with a mix of hope and vulnerability. Send me your resume in a year, said calmly. Not for leadership, I added. But if you take it seriously, conquer your place the right way. We are always looking for people willing to start from scratch. A single tear ran down her face. Jasmine. She felt no excuses, no defenses, just a recognition silent. Then she turned and left without saying nothing more. 6 months later, Skipper Lab surpassed even my more ambitious projections. We are developing solutions, state-of-the-art climate systems, expanding to 3 new states and creating sustainable jobs in the Southwest. It is real and lasting. My mom and dad still send messages from time to time, usually when they want something or when are mentioned trying to stand out like the parents of the visionary daughter in social events that in the past they expected me not to participate. I maintain a civil but distant tone. The validation that I once so desired profoundly, it no longer matters. The corner office, they said, I would never conquer has a view amazing Austin skyline. Some nights I sit by the window watching the sun sets behind the hills, thinking about ambition of my family and in the present. Unexpected that was being underestimated. Last week I received a card Christmas. Without confessions, without requests for sorry. Just a simple message. Jasmine, you were unsuccessful for our sake, but despite us, I'm finally learning how to build something real. Maybe this is the purest form of revenge. It is not loud. It is not cruel, but it is deserved and undeniable. Thank you for listening to see what those closest to me don't got it. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever been underestimated? The one who remained silent, worked hard and waited for his moment? What would you have done in my place? Would have spoken? Would have stayed in silence? Would be gone? Share your thoughts in the comments. May this space be more than just a story. That is a reminder that the resilience does not need an audience. Only needs one purpose. She is smart, but crumbles under pressure. Council will realize this soon. Recording you around the room. Honestly, he's only in this position because of diversity quotas. The temperature in the room plummeted. No one moved. Suddenly, her narrative began to unravel, not mine. Did you notice any irregularities in the finances? Worth investigating more closely. Jasmine's recorded whispers filled the room. Each strategic manipulation laid bare. The doubts she planted echoed louder, collapsing perfectly but not by my hand. Jasmine visibly sank into her chair. Her posture crumbled as the recordings played. Your once smug face turned pale. Director stayed silent, unreadable. I pulled out a thick envelope, the kind she anonymously sent to the council. Inside, falsified spreadsheets, fake emails, fabricated allegations. I spoke calmly. You really thought no one would check? I was protecting the company. Jasmine stuttered, her voice cracking. You don't deserve it. You were always extra. I replied softly. I earned my place. And now I'm exposing you for manipulating internal perception and endangering this company's future. Mom broke the silence, voice shaking. Surely you won't destroy your own sister? I smiled bitterly. You came to watch me fall. Dad lifted his hand halfway, awkwardly. We're just here to support Jasmine. I looked him dead in the eyes. No, you always bet on the wrong daughter. Facing the council, I continued. I apologize for the drama, but I needed you to see what's at stake. Jasmine violated ethical boundaries, jeopardizing the company's integrity. I requested 3 things. Dismiss all allegations against me. Immediate disciplinary action against Jasmine. A formal letter to her employer detailing her misconduct. Jasmine gasped, "You'll destroy my career." I stayed firm. You tried to destroy mine. I asked the council to ban Jasmine and my parents from Skyvera property. Mom sobbed, mascara running. We are family. I laughed dryly. Family celebrates victories. Family supports you when you're down. Family doesn't try to erase you out of jealousy. I slid another folder across the table. My first climate tech company sold for $50 million at 27. Second exit, $180 million. Looking at Dad, I said, I could have bought you that country club membership, paid for Jasmine's fancy vacations. But I didn't, because I wanted to see who stayed when they thought I had nothing. I turned to Jasmine. You all failed. She whispered, You're ending my career. I said nothing. She ended it herself the moment she betrayed me. I stood up. Meetings closed. Security will escort them out. At the door, Jasmine cried, Please, I was jealous. We can fix this, right? I turned one last time. The difference between us? When I struggled, you pushed me down. When I succeeded, I stayed silent not to make you feel small. Weeks passed. Jasmine was fired. Her reputation crumbled. Skyvera's success exploded. My parents tried reaching out, pretending pride. I stayed civil but distant. The validation I once craved no longer mattered. In my corner office, overlooking Austin's skyline, I often think, being underestimated was my greatest weapon. One Christmas, Jasmine sent a card. I failed you, but I'm finally learning to build something real. Maybe that's the purest revenge. Not loud, not cruel, just undeniable. Thank you for listening. Now tell me, have you ever been underestimated? What would you have done in my place? Share your story in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe, not just for my journey, but for yours too. Because success isn't about proving others wrong. It's about proving yourself right. What's your story?